Good evening to one and all. I am the fabulous Video Game Girl 64, and tonight I will be reading you a Pokemon creepypasta called Strangled Red. So let's not hesitate and let's get right into this reading. There are tons of stories out there about hacked Pokemon games. Some of them really quite neat, such as the one version where you get a ghost as a starter. Some are ridiculous as well. Silly stories about people dying after playing a game. Or the game talking to them. God, don't these writers know less is more when it comes to this stuff? Oh well. I grew interested in these hacked games that are apparently in any thrift store, on eBay, or handed out by homeless people to random passersby. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting these creepy people. I merely found this particular cartridge in the trash bin when the garbage truck backed into my neighbor's dumpster. I noticed the game and asked the trash man if I could take it. And he didn't seem to mind. It was thrown away after all. I, of course, checked with my neighbor to confirm if they actually didn't want it, though they seemed perplexed as if they've never seen it in their life. Their son made a grab for it. A little boy saw the Charizard on the cover, crying out, "Pokemon! I want it, Mommy!" But his mother told him no, seeing as I found it. He didn't even have a Game Boy anyways. He just liked Pokemon. Thinking nothing more, I simply went home, looking at the cartridge's sticker on the way. Just a plain old red version, the sticker torn slightly across the Charizard's neck. But that was expected with such an old game. I had blue version as a kid, so I was a bit eager to see the differences that the red version had. I was rather disappointed by what I saw when the title screen showed up. Pokemon. Strangled Red. Well, damn it, it was a hack. Hacks were neat and all, but they had zero value. The originals were quite valuable by now, and I wanted to play Red anyways, not this crap. Oh well, it was free. Might as well try it. The name was odd, however. Strangled Red? That made no sense. Not even in a morbid description of someone being asphyxiated, as people turn blue when choking, not red. Who knows? Maybe there was a pair of these hacks, and I just got the red one. The more I thought about this, though, the more interested I became. My initial disappointment turned into curiosity, and I wanted to know what the creator had made. And I was going to note everything I saw. The first oddity I noticed was that the start screen had a Charizard next to the trainer, instead of a Charmander. Also, the Pokemon never cycled through like the original versions did. It just stayed as Charizard, even after 5 minutes of waiting. Shrugging, I hit start, noticing there was no Charizard cry like there was supposed to be. I saw that there was a continue option, so I figured I'd do what everyone else did with used games and see what the previous owner had done. No. I blinked in surprise. No? What do you mean, no? The game wouldn't let me continue, no matter what. Though on the 4th attempt, I heard the Charizard's cry, quiet and barely audible, but still there. Shrugging it off, I decided to just hit new game, like I would after checking the old file anyway. The screen cut to black for a while. No Professor Oak's, no starting theme, just nothing at all. Eventually, the screen came back, showing a bedroom, 2 beds, 2 TVs, and a computer in the corner. My trainer sprite was the usual one, consistent with the original red version. I was curious as to why it didn't ask my name, though that was answered as I opened the pause menu, noticing that my trainer was named Steven. No, this isn't my real name or some stupid crap like that. This game is not self-aware or haunted. At least not that I know of. It just already had a name chosen. Curious, I saw that he had the starter amount of money, no badges. He didn't look like Red, though. His hair was longer, almost reaching halfway down his back. Red's usual smile replaced with a confident smirk. Honestly, I found this sprite much cooler than Red. Next, I checked out his Pokemon. A single Charmander, level 5, named Miki. Nothing was odd about it, or should I say her, with the name and all. She had beginning Charmander stats, only knew Scratch and Tail Whip, the basic stuff. The game seemed relatively normal. Returning to the game, I walked about the room, noticing Steven's long hair was present on the back of my trainer sprite when my back was turned to the camera. I didn't recognize the house, but I descended the stairs to see more. Downstairs, another trainer, who spoke to me the instant I came down. Mike. Ready yet? Steven. Yeah. I assumed this Mike character was my rival, predetermined for me. A replacement of Blue, most likely. Though I thought back to the bedroom having 2 beds, realizing they weren't just rivals, but they were brothers. They talked back and forth, basic Pokemon dialogue, become a Pokemaster, catch 'em all, stuff like that. Before having a little argument over which is better, Charmander or Squirtle. Squirtle's better. Which of course led to the introduction battle, like the 1 vs. Blue in the lab. Simple enough. Scratch, tackle, till I won purely for having the first turn. I took note of how much better Steven's sprite looked in combat than Red's. A different pose, his hair looking like it was blowing in the wind, a brief, minor upgrade, but still much nicer. I left the house after some more banter with my brother, stepping out to Pallet Town's theme. Going east, I found this was indeed Pallet Town. The house was simply on the outskirts to the west. I noticed there was no mysterious grassy field like in the normal Pallet Town. Wandering about, I decided to check on Red's home. His mother was inside, and when I talked to her, she commented on how handsome Steven looked, hoping her son would look up to him as a role model for when he became a trainer himself next year. Which, of course, led me to realize that this game took place a year before the original game. Red was upstairs, playing the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in his room, commenting, "I'm gonna be the best too when it's my turn." I was starting to like this hack. It was interesting. A completely new adventure. A different character. Hell, Steven even seemed to have a history with the people in his town. A reputation, a personality beyond a silent protagonist. The people in the town talked to him as a person, making conversation, not just spouting tutorial crap. Even Blue's sister had new dialogue. They seemed to be in a relationship too, as the dialogue ended with a kiss and a heart over her head. Professor Oak simply wished me well, giving me a Pokédex to aid my adventure. He wasn't giving it to me to be the reason behind the adventure like every other Pokemon game out there. He gave it to me out of kindness, something to help me on my way. A gift. I was liking this more and more with each second. The game seemed to have an actual story now. I was somebody, not just a cookie-cutter protagonist anyone could be. Not some blank sheet that could be replaced without notice. The story was different, though the actual gameplay remained unchanged. I went north like I was supposed to, went from town to town, collected badges, received the praise of the leaders. Steven's fame even seemed to spread, as some NPCs would talk like they knew him. I used Miki for every battle, and she was growing surprisingly fast. She handled Brock with ease, even pounded Misty with no trouble at all. She wasn't adversarially affected by super effective attacks as others, did more damage than a regular Charmander. She even became a Charizard at the mere level of 25. Not bad at all, I must say. Things started to get weird though, as soon as I reached Lavender Town. I know. Lavender Town is the focus behind every creepy story and the like, but it was the only place that was notably different. There was no Team Rocket invasion, which I found odd, though I did remember that this was a year in the past, so the invasion wouldn't occur until Red's time. I tried to enter Pokemon Tower, aiming to get a Ghastly, but that's when things got odd. Steven. I have no reason to be here. Steven wouldn't go in Pokemon Tower no matter what I did. This was weird. I mean, hell, there are a million places in Kanto you really have no need to be. Little random houses with nothing but children NPCs, for example. Why was it here that Stephen would not enter? With a shrug, I figured I wouldn't need a ghastly, seeing as Miki could handle anything, so I simply went on my way. Lavender Town serving no purpose other than a passageway with a Pokemon Center. The game progressed normally from there. The remaining gyms fell, and eventually, I made my way to the Elite Four and defeated them. As with Blue, my brother Mike was there before me, initiating the championship battle, which Miki swept with ease. The aftermath of the battle was quite pleasant. None of the tension was present between Red and Blue at the end of their match. The brothers congratulated each other on their progress and shook hands. Before the screen went white, no Hall of Fame nor any credits. When the screen came back, it was at the house again, the two brothers sitting at the computer, conversing with each other. Stephen: I don't want to. Mike: come on, I just gotta borrow her for a second to finish the Pokédex. The entry won't register unless she recognizes me as a master, for just a second. Stephen: but she's my Miki. Mike: I promise I'll give her back. Come on, please? Yes or no? I was a bit perplexed, so I hit no to be cautious. Mike: come on, please? No! Mike: come on, please? I realized this would simply continue to loop until I hit yes, so I did, just to see what would happen. Mike: alright, this will just take a sec, then we'll both be Pokemon Masters. The screen changed to the animation shown when two people trade Pokemon, which I found a bit weird, seeing as I was solo, but whatever, this was apparently supposed to happen. Miki went first. I watched lazily as she began to travel down the trading tube. That made me jump. The sudden noise in my silent bedroom, loud due to the volume being all the way up. Looking at the screen, I noticed the game had seemed to freeze. Miki still in mid-trade. But the game wasn't doing anything. With a sigh, I just turned off the game, wondering where my last save was. When the game turned back on, I stared for a moment at the start screen. There was no Charizard next to the trainer. Upon pressing start, I saw that the new game option was absent, leaving only continue. This was strange to say the least, so I selected it. The game starting without even showing my stats as usual. My jaw dropped at what I was greeted with. 1 year later. The Lavender Town theme came first, playing its normal way, the screen slowly fading in from the blackness. Stephen was in the Pokemon Tower, which made the music even stranger, seeing as the tower had its own theme. He was standing in front of a tombstone, not doing anything, wondering what was going on. I pressed A. Stephen. ... Confused, I tried walking, realizing that I was indeed in control at the moment. I brought up the pause menu and checked my party. Miki was gone. Not just Miki, all my Pokemon. He had nothing. The Pokédex was absent from the menu, his bag was empty. Honestly concerned now, I checked his trainer card. He had no money. He had no badges. His playtime was 8,795 hours, which was impossible as I'd only 30 logged in before. But that wasn't the strangest part. His picture. The picture of the handsome, confident young trainer was different. His eyes were blank, his face slightly down, that smirk of his was gone, replaced by lack of any expression at all. That long hair of his, before in a perfect perm, was now messy and unkempt. I couldn't look at him anymore. Closing the menu, I went to move out of the tower, but with every step I took away from the tombstone, the screen flickered, like it did when a Pokemon was poisoned. Gulping, I brought up the trainer card again. His picture was getting worse. With every step I took, he hung his head more and more. His shoulders slumped, he bent over. By the time I exited the tower, he was on his knees, hands to his face, hair draped across him. I had guessed already what was going on, but this clinged it. I began to put some things together in my mind. I'd already wondered why there was no champion in the original games, besides your rival. Why is it you, the protagonist, had to beat your rival, when he just waltzed in, no previous champion to challenge? Then, it struck me. The answer was right here. The previous champion gave up. His precious Miki was apparently dead, and with her, so died a part of him. His Pokédex, his other Pokémon, his badges, his fame, all of it, he threw it away. In that year I missed, the year where all those hours came from. I even did the math. There's 8,765 hours in a year. Add that to my 30 from before and it matched up. Even so, the game kept going. This should have been an ending, I thought. I mean, what else was there to do? I had no Pokédex, no Pokemon, not anything. What was I supposed to be doing? I talked to everyone in town, but they all said similar things. Are you okay? Still mourning, I see. Everything will be alright. Please, is there anything we can do? Stephen never replied to them, and they all simply said the same things over and over. I couldn't put the game down now. This was all so strange. Curious, I headed off to tall grass, and eventually got into a battle with a Rattata. No Pokemon was sent out, just Stephen's sprite. I was wondering how I'd battle. Wild Rattata, left you be. The battle ended without anything happening. This was certainly interesting, and it happened with every Pokemon I encountered. Wild Pidgey ignored you. Wild Ponyta wandered off. The music never changed either. No matter where I went, Lavender Town came from the speakers, following me. Sometimes slowed down slightly, sometimes not. I searched everywhere, every town, talked to everybody, wondering just what the hell I needed to do. My frustration was mixing with the depressing atmosphere of all this, making the experience altogether unnerving and uncomfortable. But I couldn't tear myself away. I was starting to get a bit angry, though, nobody telling me anything besides giving me their condolences, and trying to give me items like lemonade or coffee, each met with, Stephen, no. I slapped myself for idiocy, suddenly realizing how the likely answer was right in front of me. Pallet Town, of course. When I went there, though, which took a long time, having to walk, no Pokemon to fly with, no bicycle to ride, and Stephen only seemed to move half the regular speed, which wasn't much different. First, I tried talking to Professor Oak. These things happen. You were just unlucky. Next, I tried Blue Sister. Please, don't leave home again. Red's mom wouldn't even talk to me at all. With nowhere else in mind to go, I walked to the west, finding the house from the beginning, which I had never entered since leaving Pallet Town. Inside was Mike, but talking to him was just as useless. Mike, I'm so sorry. I pondered for a moment, if this was really the ending. Stephen doomed to do nothing but roam Kanto in misery, haunted by the memories, forced to listen to everyone's concerns about him. As a last-ditch effort to do anything, I went to the bedroom and walked over to the bed. Stephen, I'm going to sleep. The screen faded to black for a moment, but slowly faded back in, the world having a black tint to it. Mike Sprite laying in the other bed. I assumed this meant it was night. Alright, well, these seems to be a pretty good story. I like how it's been going so far, but I have a feeling I know what the ending is, but I'm not going to spoil it or anything. So I'm going to end part 1 here. I'll be uploading part 2 either later this evening or tomorrow, so be sure to look for that. And I guess I'm out for now. See ya!